In this video, we are going to see how to simplify radicals. We are especially focusing on only square root. There is a lot of different radicals, cube root, fourth root, fifth root, but in this video, we will be focusing on only on square root. So for an example, if I have square root of 125, how do we simplify that? If you type it in the calculator and you will get a decimal. We want to see how we can simplify without a decimal. So the way I do it is I take 125, what perfect square goes into 125? You can do a prime tree or you can use the perfect squares. So I want to see what perfect square goes into 125. 25 is a perfect square. 25 goes into 125 5 times. Okay, then I take square root of 25, square root of 5. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 5 is not a perfect square. This is the simplified, this is the maximum we can simplify without changing into decimal. Square root of 216. So what perfect square goes evenly into 216? If you want to type it in the calculator, you can type it. So you can see 216 divided by 4 is a perfect square. You can type 4. Yes, 4 divides it, but I want to see the highest perfect square. What is the highest perfect square? Divides 216 evenly. So 216 divided by 16. That's not dividing. 16 is not dividing evenly. All right, then I have 216 divided by 25 will not divide it. And let me try 36. 6 square is 36. 36 goes into 216 6 times. So 36 divides 216 evenly. So I'm going to take that. So that is the highest perfect square. If in case you are wondering what is the perfect square I'm talking about here, 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49, 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81, 10 squared is 100. So these are the perfect squares. These numbers are called perfect square. So I'm testing out what perfect square divides the radicand evenly so we can simplify. So in this problem, 216 divided by 36 is 6. So I can divide by 36. I end up getting 6. So square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 6 is not a perfect square. It stays. So this is the answer for square root of 216 simplified. Square root of 216 simplifies to 6 times square root of 6. Square root of 512. So these are the big numbers, so you have to be a little careful over here. So what number goes into 516? What perfect square goes into 512 evenly? So let's see, we have 512. I'm trying to divide by 64. Yeah, that divides evenly. Okay, so 64 and 8 also divisible by 4. So I'm going to try, let's see, 12 squared. If I take 12 squared, that's 144. Let's see, 512 is divisible by 144. No. 13 squared is 169. If you are using the divisible property, you already know does it divide or not. But if not, you can type it in the calculator and see are you getting decimal or not. Okay, I'm going to try 16 squared. 16 squared is 256. Let's see whether 512 is divisible by 256. Yes, it does. So we want the smallest quotient we want here. Okay, so we can say 512 is divisible by 256 and 2. Square root of 256 is 16. Square root of 2 is not a perfect square. So 16 times square root of 2 is the simplified radical here. Let's take the small number here. Square root of 45. Okay. So if you notice what perfect square goes into 45 evenly, I need to go lower than 45. 45 divided by 36 will not be a whole number. 45 divided by 25. 25 will not go evenly into 45. How about 16? No. How about 9? 9 times 5 is 45. So that can be split into 9 and 5. So square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 5 is not a perfect square. This is our answer. If you type it in the calculator to verify what is square root of 45, we are getting a decimal. So let's type this one, 3 square root of 5. 3 times square root of 5. You should be getting the same decimal. So that tells us, do you have the simplified radical or not? These two should be the same value, same decimal value. Okay. Let's try square root of 80. What perfect square goes into square root of 80? You can use calculator or you can use our number sense. Since it's a small number, let's use our number sense. What perfect square goes into 80 evenly? 16 goes into 80 5 times. If you want, give it a try in the calculator. 16 times 5 is 80. All right, so then we can write 16 times 5, take square root of it because it's square root of 80. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 5 is 5. This is the simplified radical for the square root of 80. Another easy one, square root of 200. What perfect square goes into square root of 200? 100 goes into 200 twice. So square root of 100 is 10. Square root of 2 is square root of 2. That is the simplified radical we have. Square root of 75. What perfect square goes into 75 evenly is 25. 25 goes into 75 3 times. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 3 is square root of 3. One more we will do. Let's do square root of 28. So what perfect square divides 28 evenly is 4. 4 times 7 is 24. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 7 is not a perfect square. That stays as square root of 7. This is our answer. Okay, so when you try to simplify radical square root, see what perfect square goes into it. There is several radical we can do, but we are just focusing on the square root here. This is how we simplify square root without the decimal.